Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Wendy Chen. Thank you for joining us. Coming up in today's show, we join Tzu Chi volunteers in the United States, the Dominican Republic and Australia as they hold New Year celebrations. In Taiwan, we meet two senior high school students who, despite suffering from vision impairment, are top achievers in school. And a father and daughter pair in Taiwan's Pingdong is incorporating indigenous glass beads with modern dancing. Tzu Chi chapters around the world continue to hold blessing ceremonies to embrace the Lunar New Year. The celebration, organized by the Tzu Chi Australia chapter, saw a local Australian join volunteers in the sign language performance of Vow in Action. Meanwhile, in the Dominican Republic, 160 local volunteers took part in Tzu Chi's New Year blessing ceremony. And finally, Tzu Chi chapters and liaison offices throughout the United States also hold New Year celebrations on February 16th.
Among the 19 onstage volunteers taking part in the sign language performance are a retired professor and an 18-year-old Mexican teenager.
I'm very grateful for this experience, and I hope to learn a lot more and experience many more memories here at Tzu Chi.
This year's blessing ceremony is taking place here at the Cerritos Center for the Performing Arts.
Thank you for all your years of continuous support for Tzu Chi. It is because of your support that we can continue to serve the community.
The entrepreneur Xie Kun not only has he embraced vegetarianism, but also admits that he has learned about the principles of staff management from Tzu Chi.
I have 5,000 employees around the world, and managing them has become easier, but it is really thanks to Master Zheng Yan's words, just do it.
On the same day, Tzu Chi's Dharma ship also sailed to the Diamond Bar High School here in Los Angeles. The high school's orchestra put on a special performance dedicated to Tzu Chi volunteers as they performed the Tzu Chi song, Love in the World. Accepting certificates of appreciation signifies a continued commitment.
In raising cultural awareness in the community. Thank you.
On behalf of the residents of Diamond Bar, the mayor, for your celebrating the 2013 Lunar Year Blessing Ceremony. Congratulations.
The determination of volunteers has the power to influence others immensely.
I believe that most of you seated here are healthier than me, so I believe we can all give more of ourselves.
There are many brothers and sisters who are not feeling well, yet they still give what they can. So I think there is so much more that I can do as well.
Knowing they can do more includes these local residents attending the New Year celebration in Phoenix, who bring the bamboo coin banks back to Tzu Chi. Here at Tzu Chi's New Year blessing ceremony in the Dominican Republic, members of the Chinese community and many local residents come to join in the celebration. This year, a local volunteer stepped up to host the event.
A few years ago, a relative invited me to attend a Tzu Chi function. What I saw in the Buddhist NGO is that they reach out to the needy. And my family also agrees that to give is more blessed than to receive, so we decided to join Tzu Chi.
Also present at the event is Spanish teacher Jose Villani, who says that it was during the 2 years in which he assisted to translate Tzu Chi's year review into Spanish that he was truly inspired by the actions of Tzu Chi volunteers.
Yo no soy una persona rica, no tengo un poder adquisitivo grande, pero lo que sí puedo ofrecer y regalar.
I'm not a wealthy person, but I can use my expertise as a way to contribute to Tzu Chi. So long as we are determined, we can always make time to do Tzu Chi. I look forward to assisting again, as I really enjoy being a part of Tzu Chi. It brings me immense dharma and joy.
Porque me regocija y me llena de espíritu.
All hoping to help those in need, local residents pour their savings from their bamboo coin banks into an accumulated pool of love. to sing the lyrics to the song Far to Action, yet still in sync with the movements of the other performers. James, a local Australian, is taking part in the New Year blessing ceremony held by the Tzu Chi Australian chapter.
I also thought it would make it happy, right? I also thought I'd lose a bit of weight too, but that didn't work.
Regardless of ethnicity or language, the participants reflect back on the past year. Together with the Sydney Tzu Chi volunteers, all light up the lamp of the heart as they pray for a good year ahead and the chance to continue cultivating great love in Australia.
Though the Lunar New Year holidays have come to an end, students from Malaysia's Johor Bahru Tzu Chi Kindergarten visited their neighbours to give their New Year greetings. Through these visits, the students also learned about the traditions and customs of the Chinese New Year.
Here in Malaysia, children from the Tzu Chi Kindergarten of Johor Bahru are learning about the traditions of the Chinese New Year.
We're teaching our students some Lunar New Year mannerisms. Visiting neighbors during the New Year is a courtesy, and the students should learn how to say auspicious phrases.
This lesson extends outside the classroom, where teachers and students head out to pay a visit to their neighbors as a traditional activity of the Lunar New Year.
Nowadays, some people don't know who their neighbors are or rarely talk to them. So we're taking this opportunity to visit and get to know our neighbors.
They said Happy New Year, wish you a good health, wish you the best of luck, all the auspicious phrases. Of course, visiting neighbors during the holidays is a good way to stay connected.
Through interacting with their neighbors, these children from Tzu Chi Kindergarten are learning the courtesies one needs in life at a young age.
Moving to Taiwan, we meet two senior high school students, Ling Ting-yu and Yu Ya-yun. Ling has been blind in her right eye since birth. However, with determination, she achieved a perfect score on her high school competency test. As for Yu, although she suffers from ocular hypertension, she vows to become a doctor one day to help the needy in remote areas.
This is Yu Ya-yun, who not only receives good grades in school, but is also a crowd pleaser in her class. Ya-yun originally comes from Taidong County. She recalls how when she would accompany her grandmother to see a doctor, there was also a constant lack of medical staff to treat all the patients. Therefore, she has vowed to become a doctor when she grows up.
When I was young, I always accompanied my grandmother when she went to see the doctor. I still remember how the lobby was filled with seniors and there were only a few doctors present.
In spite of suffering from ocular hypertension, Yu sees every opportunity to study. Now with a perfect score on her senior high school competency test, she can apply for medical school and in the future become a doctor. Also receiving a perfect score on the exam is Ling Ting-yu, who suffers visual loss in her right eye, but still faces her life with a positive frame of mind.
I have been exploring the world with one eye since young. I don't think it makes much difference other than I'm not good at picturing 3 dimensions or gauging speed.
She plays with us and we always watch TV together.
Even though once pessimistic about her situation, luckily with encouragement from her parents, Ling decided to study hard to prove to everyone that she is no different than others.
I believe with a lot of practice, eventually I can understand anything.
Other than studying hard during her spare time, Ting-yu also volunteers as a nurse assistant in school, as she hopes to follow in her parents' footsteps and become a doctor.
Anything great begins with a simple idea, followed by actions and perseverance. In July 2002, 3 Tzu Chings in Brisbane, Australia, along with a Tzu Chi volunteer, came together to organise free dental clinics in the remote areas of Queensland. However, the service came to a temporary stop when the government was unable to provide funding for medical equipment. Nevertheless, believing what they were doing was right, the volunteers saw the crisis as a turning point. Today, the 4-person team has grown to over 100 volunteers participating at each of the free clinics. Looking from a distance, the vast stretch of desert is one of the remote areas in Queensland, Australia, and as such lacks adequate healthcare resources.
They are students studying dentistry, and though they are young, they wondered what contributions they could make to society, so they came up with the idea of organizing free dental clinics.
Thus, beginning in 2002, a free dental clinic was held every half a year, with volunteers working with a local hospital in caring for refugees.
And are unknowing of our service, so to speak. And that was the reason the program was put together, I believe, was to introduce people into a dental government situation so that they could then attend on their own.
With limited medical staff, volunteers took on the job of sterilising medical tools and providing oral hygiene information, as well as babysitting patients' children. At each free clinic, volunteers worked from morning till night to do what they could to provide dental treatment for each patient. However, due to a change in government policy, the event was forced to discontinue in 2009.
He cried all the way while singing the Sutra of Innumerable Meanings. All the way from Brisbane to Toowoomba, he couldn't stop thinking of what we could do to ensure we don't break our promise. We're still working within our capabilities.
What was considered a crisis was probably also a turning point, as volunteers began considering the purchase of mobile dental chairs.
They are a group of very closely bonded young people, so when they called for help, they received the help they needed.
As long as there is those that need dental service, regardless of how difficult the journey ahead may be, we will walk on.
From a 4-person team to now with over 100 volunteers, the decade-long hard work of these volunteers has finally paid off. In our next report, we travel to Pingtung Sandimen to meet indigenous dancer Liao Yingjie, who is a member of the Paiwan tribe and had always dreamed of incorporating the legend lazurite beads with indigenous dance. Today, Liao and his daughter, also a performer of modern dance, are working together to form an indigenous class bead dance.
这是孔雀蜘蛛，守护你对你太太坚定的爱情。
Do you find this scene familiar?
这是蝶蛹蜘蛛，希望你的勤劳带给你很大的财富。
These are scenes from Taiwan's hit film, Cap No. 7, in which the leading actress hands out the lazurite beads of the Paiwan tribe as gifts. After the movie became a blockbuster, the lazurite bead industry also heated up.
When the tribal women started making lazurite beads to earn a living, I felt happy for them.
At her studio, Mao Yumei and her co-workers are using 800 degrees Celsius heat to melt the glass sticks, after which they carefully decorate them with fiberglass. Not until the lazurite beads pass through the trial of land will they shine with delicate colors and patterns. In ancient times, lazurite beads were treasures of aristocrats, and they would be passed on to the eldest child. For Mao and her husband Liao Yingjie, neither of them would qualify to inherit the beads.
In our family, only the eldest child of the family is qualified to inherit the lazurite beads. As long as you are the eldest child, you can take all the beads.
At that time, we wanted to try to make lazurite beads so we could have our own as well.
However, 30 years ago, at the beginning of developing their crafting techniques, they struggled to select the right materials and heating techniques.
At the beginning, we were not sure how to make the lazurite beads, and the end product always broke into pieces.
Before, we didn't have much money, so we often fought with each other, and sometimes we thought of giving up.
Despite the obstacles, the couple not only successfully developed crafting techniques, but also came up with a style in tune with the times. Liao is not only a great singer, but also a professional performer of indigenous dance. He and his daughter, Liao Yixin, who specializes in modern dance, try to blend the art of dance with the tradition of the lazurite beads. At each move and pose, the dancer expresses the delicacy and elegance of the beads. The design of the dress on this performer was adapted from the patterns and colors of the beads of the warrior. After the first performance, many in the tribe were surprised to find that the blend of the two elements really worked.
People really liked the story, and they were glad to see how we had blended the performance with the art of lazurite beads.
The dance of lazurite beads puts Taiwan's culture on display. It shows the indigenous culture on the island, and most importantly, it's a form of art original to Taiwan.
Unfortunately, this creation was almost ruined by Typhoon Morakot, as the typhoon destroyed the family's dance studio. Despite the disaster, Liao Yingjie saw that as long as the family stuck together, there was always hope. Like the beads undertaking the trial of fire, the disaster did not defeat Liao, but led him to the next level. Following their performance at Taiwan's National Theatre, Liao's next plan is to introduce the performance to the world.
46-year-old Taichung resident Zhu Zhenzhong is a sufferer of ankylosing spondylitis. Due to his condition, Zhu had withdrawn himself from the world and closed his heart to those around him. Fortunately, Tzu Chi volunteers were there to help him through the tough times. Today, Zhu Zhenzhong can now be frequently seen at the local recycling station, giving back for the love he received.
This is a box to hold incense. We need to first fold it before stapling it together.
Working for $10 a day at home is how Zhu Zhenzhong supports himself.
I can't do any of the jobs out there, as my entire body has frozen up, which means I can't use my muscles to press or squat.
As a sufferer of ankylosing spondylitis, Zhu cannot sit for longer than 5 minutes.
If I sit for too long, my feet will start to hurt, so I have to stand as I work.
Finding a line of work that meets his needs, Zhu does his best to fulfill his responsibilities. It wasn't always so smooth, but fortunately, Tzu Chi came into his life.
The master told us not to underestimate ourselves. We all have limitless potential, so we did our best to encourage him.
Being inactive and uncaring meant the days really difficult, so in the end, I started to work to cultivate a more open state of mind.
For Zhu, learning to accept his lot in life was the first step to finding freedom in his heart. Also, an important factor was the help and company of Tzu Chi volunteers.
If I want to sit down, I need to angle the chair back before I can get in. To see if there are any cars coming from the right, my neck can't turn, so I have no other way of looking that way. It is okay. Actually, I'm pretty lucky that I can still drive and get out when I need to.
To thank the volunteers for their help, Ju has now become a regular at the local recycling station. And although he can only do recycling standing up, his hands are busier than anyone else's.
I will take all these plastic bags. You have to treasure the moment, because in the future we might not have a chance to work here.
He comes here every week, and when he is here, he rarely takes a break.
For Ju, he has learned that when it comes to expressing our heart's love for others, there is no such thing as working too hard.
Senior Tzu Chi volunteer Ling Asha joined Tzu Chi some 3 decades ago and has since been leading by example in spreading the organization's seeds of love. In total, she has led over 300 volunteers to become certified commissioners and has been giving every day of her life to the Buddhist NGO. Ling moved to Hualien's Jingse Road 25 years ago and despite being 85 years of age today, continues to work as a kitchen volunteer, seizing each moment to give. Getting ready to begin her duties is 85-year-old Ling Asha, who takes her work each day very seriously.
This side is edible and the other side is not. We can't waste food. It would be a pity because it is all purchased with money.
Coming from a difficult background, Ling had to help her parents sell vegetables to make ends meet from a young age. Picking out vegetables is no difficult job. Nevertheless, the grandma puts her heart into everything she does.
We must divide them well. If not, there will be worms. If we are the ones who eat them, it's all right. But if the masters ate them, as some of them have been vegetarians all their life, it wouldn't be good, so we must concentrate.
Having joined Tzu Chi more than 3 decades ago and spent the last 25 years living in Jingse Road, Asha knows the impermanence of life and seizes each moment to give.
I think that if I am capable of giving right this moment, but if I take a break instead, that would be a waste of time. My mom gave me this life. If I don't work hard, I won't be able to gain wisdom. So I must give till the last moment in exchange for spiritual wisdom.
After lunch, behind the kitchen where many volunteers normally work together, one finds Asha with her reading glasses copying sutras. The senior is not just practicing how to write, but is also trying to learn the meaning behind the Buddhist scriptures.
I am really happy from the moment I began writing. The more I write, the happier I am, and the better I get at reading the words.
Line by line, Asha's neat and beautiful writing is also symbolic of her attitude towards life.
At first, I didn't know how to write, so I didn't want to write them down. But since I started, I must continue on until my last breath.
Despite being at an age where she should be enjoying life, ever since coming across Tzu Chi 3 decades ago, Asha has made a vow to follow Master Zhen Yan's footsteps till the end of time. We stay in Taiwan at the end of today's program. Members of the Tzu Chi Teachers Association recently visited the Hopu Elementary School in New Taipei City to promote an anti-drug campaign, and students all gained a better understanding of how detrimental drugs are to our human body. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.